To that live picture of a breaking news situation that we've been watching all afternoon since about 4 o'clock or so, 3200 block of North Wilton, that's in the Lakeview neighborhood. What you're seeing there are firefighters that responded to a garage collapse that collapsed into a trench, and we're told that one individual may have been in that area, perhaps inside that garage, and was pinned underneath a lot of that rubble. So authorities or emergency crews have been trying to rescue him for about the last half hour or so, one by one, moving each piece of debris, some of those bricks, to try and get this individual out. And we did spot him just a few minutes ago as police or as fire department crews were moving out of the way there. And
firefighters, as you said, have been able to get their hands on this person, but obviously his or her legs are trapped. It was what the initial call came in, and the victim is in, a precarious situation here. They want to make sure they don't cause any more injuries while they get this person out. We have seen firefighters bringing in some pieces of wood along with, it looks like, some hydraulic equipment. Presumably that would be to try to shore up some areas.
Try to stabilize the area, yeah.
That's because they don't want to have another collapse, a secondary collapse. There you see him on the top of your screen handing in some pieces of wood to try to really almost create a little cubby around the person because, if there's bricks or concrete on top of the person's legs, that person is trapped. Just removing one doesn't really do the trick because you're going to have another pile potentially collapse on him or her. And as we're talking about, Chicago firefighters do train for this sort of thing. They have a specific confined area rescue squad that trains. They were, just off the top of my head, last in a major incident in August of 2018. That was when there was an explosion at a Metropolitan Water Reclamation District plant on the far south side. They had about 10 people who were injured in that, and it was a similar scene, and it took quite a while for firefighters to actually free the people who had become trapped after there was an explosion at that plant. Some of the walls caved in. They also had a fire in that particular incident.
Which adds another layer of difficulty, yeah.
So thankfully we don't have that. But Lourdes, that's a good point you brought up, the layers of difficulty. Presumably they would have reached out to People's Gas here as well, because if a gas line had been severed during this collapse, they want to make sure that there's not any type of risk of fire. We do see them moving a backboard in now a little closer to this person. So hopefully that means they're closer to freeing this person who's now been trapped underneath a collapsed garage for about a half hour or so on the city's north side, happening at 3200 North Wilton, which is right near the intersection of Belmont and Clark.
Yeah, and you wonder what had been going on in that area. Okay, so it looks like our producer telling us that it looks like they have loaded him onto that stretcher right now.
Yeah, there you see at the bottom of your screen.
That on his stomach.
Looks like he's on, it might be on his back. You can see the firefighters at the bottom of your screen there, standing over this person, strapping him onto the stretcher.
And we did see some movement just about 5-10 minutes ago, so it looked like he was moving an arm, so may have been talking to fire crews, firefighters, as they were attempting to rescue him, which does make the operation just a little bit easier, to get him out, because then they know which pieces to move, how they can maneuver him to get him out of this situation. But it does look like the victim has been rescued, going to Illinois Masonic Hospital this afternoon to assess some of the injuries, and hopefully he'll be okay.
Yeah, but Illinois Masonic probably put on standby, told to stand by for this patient who obviously is still there on the stretcher there at the bottom of your screen. They're strapping him in. We have not yet been able to see how alert he is, whether or not he's talking to firefighters, able to self-assess, say, hey, this hurts, this doesn't hurt. I guess I'm heartened to see they're not rushing him out of there instantly. But I also know that they've got to get over some treacherous terrain before they reach the ambulance, which is parked in that alley there at Wilton. ready to speed that patient over to Illinois Masonic.
Another piece that I'm hearing from the producer right now, because they're getting information as it's coming in, it seems like he was trapped about 8 feet underneath some of that rubble. So they had to dig through 8 feet of debris, 8 feet, and you can see him there, hands on his head as he's being pulled out of that debris. This is a garage collapse about 4 o'clock this afternoon, but he seems to be alert and perhaps talking to some of the firefighters that have rescued him.
Understandably in tremendous pain, but boy, is that a good sign, just as an observer, that he can put both hands over his face, presumably wincing in pain a bit. But that's a good sign that he is alert enough to feel pain and move some of his body parts there in response. There is an ambulance about 15 yards south, I believe that would be, from where those firefighters are now all gathered around that man on the stretcher, the ambulance preparing to go to Illinois Masonic. And I know it looks like a kind of a flat picture there, but to Lourdes's point earlier about the depth, you can see that ladder set up. That indicates the size of that hole that firefighters were working in. I didn't really appreciate the full depth of that hole until you see the ladder down there to make it easier for firefighters to get in and out. And that hole, whether this was a ground collapse or...
And there he is, being rushed into ambulance 53, headed to the hospital to assess some of the injuries that he may have this afternoon. Well, we were told initially his legs pinned underneath the rubble. As the minutes went on, we were told trapped in 8 feet of debris this afternoon as that garage collapsed onto a trench on the north side of Chicago. He does appear to be moving, perhaps talking to firefighters, which, as you mentioned, Ben, is a very good sign as he's taken to the hospital this afternoon. Indeed,
and while he is transported to Illinois Masonic Hospital for treatment, firefighters will remain on the scene there. The concern is in a heavily crowded area like that and unstable ground, you want to make sure that there's nothing else that's in danger of collapse. And while this came in as a report of a garage collapse, we don't know the stability of the ground beneath that garage and whether or not any of the taller buildings around it may be in some sort of jeopardy.
And they'll now cordon off the area, safeguard the area in case there's anybody else walking through there. But you can see, I think, as you have this wide overview of that scene near 3200 block of North Wilton, just the amount of firefighters and presence, emergency crew presence that came out this afternoon to help this individual. You had about a dozen firefighters or so right there at that trench trying to get him out of that area. So it seems like he will be okay, hopefully, has been loaded onto a stretcher, onto an ambulance and headed to a local hospital.